I'll have you fired. This is my brother's story. There might be things that are holes on the story, because he told me this a few years ago. When he was on the bus home, there was this car following them. The bus driver stopped at one of the bus stops and she came on the bus yelling. Entitled parent, Skylar, where are you? Bus driver, ma'am, please calm down. No, I have the right of taking my daughter home when I want. What kind of name is Skylar? Usually I feel bad for kids of entitled parents, but Skylar was an entitled kid. One story was about this guy on the bus, a 6'4" football player. He was the nicest guy ever, but Skylar would flick staples at him hard. He could not say anything back because her mum would probably turn it into a rape allegation. So for 2 years he would have staples flicked at him. Thank God he's not me, because she'd be dead. Back to the story. Ma'am, I would love to give your daughter to you, I really would, but I could get fired. It's district policy. I will sue you and this district. Now we're leaving. Now the bus driver was a nice elderly man who drove that bus after the elementary bus, so he was probably tired of this shit. Skylar walked off that bus with the biggest shit-eating grin ever. She never rode the bus again, but this isn't the first mum that did that. But it's too long already. Thanks for reading. Entitled kid tries to take my wallet, and entitled mother calls the police on me after I teach entitled kids some manners. So this happened a week ago at an ATM vestibule. It was very busy, so I had to wait in a queue to deposit my cheque that was very kindly given to me by my very kind grandmother. Before taking out my wallet, out of the corner of my eye, I spied not quite a Karen, more of a Mackenzie if you ask me. So anyway, I've read a lot of stories on this sub, and I was not prepared to lose any money at the arms of an entitled kid. So I put my wallet back in my pocket and placed my card inside of the ATM, which is when she releases the entitled kid, who dashes and darts whilst emitting an obnoxious wailing noise similar to that of a nuclear raid siren. He pillaged and plundered the flabbergasted citizens of West London. Then he reached me. He plunged his hand into my pocket and rummaged around for his bounty. I tried to resist, but it was too late. He had lunged away from me, wielding the wallet that contained my life. I give chase, my natural instinct kicking in. My brain is wired to hunt. I shan't give up. I grab his arm and pull my wallet back into my grasp and teach him a lesson about manners. This is when Mackenzie, old entitled kid, comes over to me and tells me to release her son or she will have me done for paedophilia. I laugh at her joke, but then she pulls out her phone and calls the police and says that a man is holding and raping my child and I am charging a ransom. I give her child back and flee the scene. Hopefully there is conclusive evidence on the CCTV, so entitled mother will get a fine of over £20,000. My entitled sister. Now I have a lot of siblings, but this is about my second older sister. We were close growing up, but after she left home and had a kid, boy did she change. The first time, I say her after several years, she demanded I get pregnant and have a baby since she and my other older sister already had a kid. Well, after 2 years, she comes by on Christmas morning with her boyfriend, nice guy, and her spoiled brat of a child, my nephew. She sits down on the couch, looks at one of my younger sisters and says, "Bring me something to eat." Those were the first words out of her mouth. Not hi, not I missed you, just a demand to feed her. The rest of the visit, she let her kid roam wild in the house. She never got off the couch, and if we asked her where her son was, she'd look at the nearest sibling and say, "You were supposed to be watching him. You're his aunt. It's your job to look after him." She had to drop off her kid at his dad's for Christmas, and then she came back for Christmas dinner. Now, I make really good deviled eggs. One of my uncles gets super excited when I bring them. I bought like 30, plenty for everyone to have 2 or 3. Nope, my older sister ate 10 of them. She ate almost half the deviled eggs, and my uncle didn't get any. Of course, she was unapologetic. Present time came, and we gave gifts. My older sister got $200 cash from my uncles. However, my older sister was deeply angry that I got presents. She got presents too, but just in the morning. My nana opened her present from me, and my sister immediately asked if she could have it. She flat out took my nana's Christmas gift, and still to this day feels no remorse and thinks it was totally okay. We aren't that close anymore. My little sister has turned into an entitled parent. She wasn't so entitled when we were kids, but around the time that she had her first daughter, she got super entitled. Here's just one story. Our parents had died several years ago, so I'd bounced around from place to place, eventually renting a room from my grandmother. My sister just had her first daughter, so she was living in her own apartment with her boyfriend, but she always came over to our grandmother's. No big deal, I love my sister and my niece, except she constantly stole my clothes They didn't even fit her, but she took them anyways. Same with my shoes. God, how many pairs of shoes she broke. So I talked to her about it, and she said she'll stop going into my room and taking my clothes. Great, thanks. I didn't think it was too much to ask, but whatever. Fast forward like a week or two, and I can't find my comfy sweatpants that were sitting on my stairs. So I walk into the living room, and guess who's wearing them? Entitled sister. M-E-E-S, entitled sister. What the fuck? I told you to stop going in the room and taking my clothes. What are you talking about? I'm not wearing your clothes. You're literally wearing my sweatpants right now. Oh well, they weren't in your room. Not a super climactic story, but God, what a piss off. My parents were entitled parents. I grew up with entitled parents, but not in the way you think. My parents thought the world owed them money. They truly believed they should get money from the government just for existing. Well, when that didn't work, they had kids to get a cheque from the government. Their whole plan was for their children to live with them and collect money from the government. When each of the kids were 18, they were expected to get a job and give all the money to the parents, so that my parents never had to work. And if you think they worked around the house, you would be wrong. The kids were expected to do that as well. Thankfully, their own plan came to a halt when all their kids were taken away for abuse and neglect. They never tried to get their kids back, but they just had one after the other. I haven't spoken with my parents since I was like 13 and 14, and when I was 20, I moved over to my grandparents' house, and suddenly my mum wanted a relationship with me. You see, she wanted me to move several states away to be with her. Her plan was for me to move into her house, pay her rent, cook her meals, buy her food, clean her house. She seriously thought she was entitled to my whole life because I don't even know. My nan shut that down fast though. Entitled parent blocks a wheelchair accessible curb with her car. Gets an attitude when called out. I am in a wheelchair. My daughter helps me get around so that I can shop like I used to. However, she had an injury to her foot and has trouble walking as well. Last Saturday, we went to a dollar store in a shopping centre. We parked in the handicap spot nearest the store, which had the wheelchair lowered curb for easy access. This is also a no parking zone. When we came out, there was a car totally blocking the wheelchair access. There was no other access nearby, as our car was right across the street from the access. No one was in the car, and it was clearly by a no parking sign. After 20 minutes, a woman, EP, and her kids come out of the store and head for the car. After 20 minutes, a woman, entitled parent, and her kid comes out of the store and heads for the car. I ask, does she realise that she was blocking a wheelchair access? Entitled parent gruffly says, so what? How was I to know? That's about as gruff as I can get. How about all the signs telling you? Sorry, get over it. And with that, she practically throws her kid in the car, not checking if he's seat belted, and drives off. Where are cops when you need them? You made my child fall, and now I'm going to make a police report. So we had this camp for a bunch of 14-year-olds about a week ago. They were instructed to move from one place to another quickly as we were slightly behind time. Because of that, one of the boys fell and scraped his knees, but it wasn't too serious. There was a small ledge on the way, so very likely he tripped. After giving first aid, the boy said he was okay. However, when they were sent back home, his father was angry that he was injured and insists that we find out who caused his son to fall, and that if we don't, he's going to make a police report on the situation. Another girl also fell accidentally later that day, but she just laughed it off, saying that there's someone always very clumsy and that there were no parent complaints from her.